Hello everyone, this is Lulu. I wanted to make this video because I want to do like a whole video on like my journey as a whole. So like from when I very first thought about it, when I first considered it, when we very first dressed, when we first full dressed, like the whole thing, just to sort of give you my timeline as opposed to like, here I am, we're doing stuff. I'm gonna start really early, really early. I was born in 1996. So right now I am 29 years old. I personally say and tell everyone, oh, I've probably been doing this since I was 18, which is partially true, untrue. So I started at 18, like with my own stuff. But when I very first thought about it and like really got into it, not got into it, but first had that idea pop into my head that this is a possibility. This is something you can do with yourself. You can express yourself this way. I was, God, let's check my notes because I have notes this time. I was maybe 4 to 6 years old. I was very, very young. And I had watched this documentary about I don't know if it's a tribe or a town or something, somewhere in India, I believe. And they had a day or like a specific time or like there's a festival or ritual in which, from what I remember, men dress up as women for a day or a certain set period of time to sort of experience that like feminine way of life. And I saw it and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, we can do that? You can just like make that happen for yourself? Oh my God, my hair is crazy, girl. Better. So I see this documentary and I'm like, how can I replicate this in any way? So I took my childhood blanket, which was this red blanket with floral pattern and like laced at the very ends. It was like I was super young. My parents probably still have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. So I run upstairs and I go to my blanket and I tie it around my hip, tie it around my waist, and I go, ooh, this is fun. This is nice. I'm sitting there like, ooh, looking in the mirror, look, this is cute. I'm like in the corner of my room, which I shared with my brother. And my brother and his friend come upstairs to look for me to like go play. And meanwhile, I have a skirt on my skirt around my waist, and I'm like mortified. Got laughed at. They went downstairs. Whatever. That taught me early. I was like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't be doing this, right? Like maybe we shouldn't do this. So we fast forward a couple years. I don't know. It's the start of RuPaul's Drag Race, somewhere between season 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember which. I would watch RuPaul's Drag Race with my mother. Now my mother, whenever RuPaul's Drag Race would come on oh God, was it Logo? Whenever it would come on, she would call me in the room. She'd like, oh, blah blah, come. RuPaul's girls are on. RuPaul's girls are on. I'm like, oh, yay, RuPaul's girls. I thought it was so interesting. I was like, oh my God, people do this. This is so cool. Like these people are so powerful and amazing, and I just grew this sort of admiration for them. And that also showed me like, oh, this is something to do. Like this is like not so far-fetched anymore, right? And I just always looked at them. I still watch RuPaul's Drag Race right now. We're on season 18. We're all caught up to all the regular seasons. I love it. I'm big fan still. Anyway, we watched like drag with my mom for a couple years, but sort of fall off of that. I get, really caught into video games and playing a lot of video games in my life. All that would kind of stop, like mainly like the dressing would be like, oh, I'd tie a towel around my waist, or like we would make a towel like bandeau or like tube top. Like, we would get creative because the only sort of privacy I had when I was younger was in the shower, and the shower was an easy way to, use towels as sort of clothes. And then we're going to fast forward all the way to September of 2015. I go off to college. My parents give me a bank account. I get an allowance. Cool, awesome. And this is where we can truly start and really explore more. So we're 18, we're in college. Let's readjust here. So I started with really cheap booties. They were this like red color. They, they were maybe 2-3 inches. They were cute. I liked them. And like a red sweater dress, like this color. This is not my favorite color. My favorite color is green and purple. We love them. But I just thought it was so just gorgeous. And I tried to dress over it as much as I could. I would sort of bring the clothes back and forth from college and home and sort of hide them and start to try to dress like whenever I'm home alone or if I'm in the college room alone. And it sort of still felt off, right? Like no one really knew besides me. It was sort of this taboo that you're not really supposed to talk about. You're not supposed to be feminine as a man or when you're born sort of male. And none of it really sat right with me. I was always sort of nervous about what other people would think. I was always scared to go out anywhere. It was a whole like mental block for me around like that whole thing for just years and years. That was until in August of 2018, I had met my now wife. She's lovely. I love her. My loving wife. Cannot speak any ill of her. She's one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. I want to cry. I had an ex. I spoke about this with her. I had amassed maybe like not a tote, but like probably a box about this big of clothes and shoes and accessories. And I had gotten like one of the really cheap breastplates, like essentially breast forms with ties on them. That was all they really were. And I had this whole collection, and I was always nervous because, this is part of me. I can't really like lie to someone I love so dearly. So I told my ex, and she was not terribly happy with it. She was kind of like confused more than anything. And that sort of like dinged my ego. It's brought me down. It didn't sit right with me. There was a lot of problems with that relationship. That was just one of them. And as I said, in August of 2018, I met my now wife, and I couldn't wait to tell her because I feel like if I got too far in and I told her, it would have been sort of too late at that point. So I told her very much like I remember it pretty clearly now because it was such a like big moment for me, is that I opened up my bucket and I was like, hey, like, I do this, like, I like dressing in feminine clothes, I think it makes me feel pretty, this and that, and she didn't care. I mean, I cried, because no one had ever, like, accepted me positively for that. So she accepted me, she loves me for me, and that was really the moment where I knew everything was going to be okay, and everything was going to be a much happier life, as opposed to one like of hiding and maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't do it, maybe I should get rid of everything. She taught me that if you love somebody, you just sort of love them no matter what, as if you love them truly deeply to your core. And I knew she did, and I felt that, and I loved it every moment, every second. And she would go on to help me buy things and go with me to stores, do little trips, like, do the one-off of wear heels to the mall, like really short ones, and that was it. All the rest of it's boy mode, and it was fine. And she really helped me to love myself and sort of, as RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? And enough about her. We're gonna go back to me. Wow! And then I'm gonna go more into more like turning points of like, like my process of dressing and how I got to me, like how I got from, I'll show pictures. There will be pictures over here that come up periodically of how I looked, what I was thinking, and like, God, it was not good. October 2018, right after I told my wife, my then girlfriend, I started using like the really cheap hip pads, like the hip pants from like Amazon. They're a good place to start to see if you can explore your So you can sort of start exploring your body shape, because I think body shape is very, very important when it comes to dressing. I think, well, to me, everyone's different. Everyone has their own like idea of how they want to like look and be perceived and all this and that. And this is before I was taking pictures. I was too scared to take any pictures of myself dressed up because I was worried about what people would, if anyone found my phone, but like realize who's looking at my phone but me. If someone's taking my phone, it's my wife and she knows. Who cares? The only reason I know that I started wearing hip pads in October of 2018 is because I looked back on, God, I looked back in order history of like Amazon stuff. So we're in January 2019. This is when I started taking pictures and started documenting, like how we looked and like what pictures were cute, what pictures were not cute. And I was, let's see what the notes say. We were doing no padding. We were doing like skirts and mini dresses and like stuff like that. And I mostly didn't really start doing more dressing and like documenting until September of 2019. I got my first breastplate. I don't have this breastplate anymore. I got got Roanier's B cup, regular B cup, no like modifiers. And I finally started to sort of think about more the whole package as opposed to just what we're wearing and like that, like starting to like sort of mold and shape the body. And I was 22. Again, now I'm 29. 7 years ago. Feels like a lifetime. Feels like, how did I do any of this without gaining knowledge and stuff like that? It was a lot of trial and error, and this was the start of a lot of trial and error. Can't exactly remember if I had the Roanier medium hips in silicone, or if it was like a bunch of like the cheap foam ones stacked together. It might have been a bunch of the cheap ones foam ones stacked together. So this is about like October 2019. This is about, what, 6.25 years ago-ish, October 2019. And I can't even lie, the pictures will be here. Some of them are still cute. No, we have no wig, we don't have long hair, but they are still cute. And some of the outfits are still cute. The body's right. And I still liked it. Now we go to right before the bad times, the dark times. We're in February of 2020. At this point, I'm starting to mess around with like more makeup and more hair, and my hair was still short. I wanted to grow it out just so I don't have to wear wigs. Kind of really. So we're in June of 2020 when we're all at home, not having a great time, but it was good for some of us. It's good for some of us because I got to stay home, not be perceived, and at the time, my wife was living with me and my family because she couldn't handle hers the whole time, which is fine. And she gave me the full face of the first full face of makeup I had. I had gotten makeup and tried to like do stuff, and that would be the last time she would do it for me, because like I can do it, right? I should probably learn how to do it anyway. And she probably still did the lips better than I ever have, because I can't do lips for some reason. It wasn't bad. It just I did the dressing without body shaping. And I sort of fall off of this, like, body shaping for a little bit. So next we have August of 2020. In August of 2020, we're starting to think about Halloween. Because, restrictions were, like, loosening up. And we go to parties with friends and, have, like, they're outside. And we never had any issues. It was, like, very small gatherings. And I was trying to get, like, an outfit together. And I thought it could be cute. And it was, like, sort of the last time I would like use padding for almost years, because I don't know why. Padding specifically in the hips and like the waist area. Breastplates were usually always prevalent in my dressing because they're fun and they give me something that I can't normally have. And this outfit was like, it was really cool. You'll see a picture. For the time, I thought it was cool. It was an Amazon bought outfit. And it sort of gave like drag queen, which was, not something that I do much anymore, like costuming and stuff. But it had like feather shoulder plates, feather wrists, and like could do fun makeup, like bird inspired or like sort of witchy, and like a black bodysuit, I think it was, or like maybe a black dress, I can't remember. the picture will be here. That was just sort of the last time I like thought about padding for a while. I don't know why. October 2021. I went to a friend, like another house party for all my friends, only people I know. Halloween party, just as like a maid, but like a cyber maid. And I still have it somewhere. I can probably pull that out and like make new pictures with it. And I had like green accents, and it was like very like cyberpunky made, and I thought it was cute. If I redid it, I'd probably be way cuter. I don't have any pictures yet again. Just remember the time that it was. Um, no one had an issue with that. No one really cared. I had people asking me like, "Oh, do you have like specific pronouns you want?" I'm like, "No, I don't really care what pronouns you refer to me as. It's all fine. He, him, she, her, they, them. None of it really matters to me." And that's when I sort of learned that. I was like, "Oh, I don't really think I care. It doesn't really make a difference to me." So now we're in December of 2021. And this is when I finally moved out of my parents' house with my wife, and we had 2 roommates. And during this month, I would dress fully, full face of makeup, full fit after October, I can put pictures up. I've used these pictures for years, still like these pictures. I don't remember. I think I had no corset, no padding, was still okay with it, like only breastplate, and I was like, and we were giving the letter P, and I didn't. Giving the letter P is something I learned, a term I learned more recently, and I was like, yeah, that is sort of what it's giving. It's sort of just giving, I am stick all the way up, and then booba, and that's just sort of the letter P, which there are biological women who are shaped like that, which is fine, that's all them, and if they're happy, they're happy. But I did meet a couple that were shaped like that or not very happy about it, so I was like, okay, noted. That's the terminology we can use for that. We're in January of 2022. January of 2022 is probably the big turning point for me. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest turning points is I would go with my wife to a convention called MagFest. MagFest is on the East Coast near Washington, D.C. I like that convention. Everyone is very nice. It is not an older convention, but if the average age of most conventions is like 18 to 25, I think the average age range of MagFest is like 20s, like late 20s, mid 30s to like late 30s. So everyone's pretty mature. Everyone's very open-minded about everything, and no one really cares about what you do. And it's very accepting and very sort of eye-opening, and my friends were having fun. I was having fun. It was all very cute. And again, still bad at taking pictures. Didn't take a lot. Now we're in February of 2022. February of 2022, I wanted to go out, right? Like I was thinking about it more and more. I was like, I want to be perceived. I want to be looked at, and I want to be beautiful. I want to be pretty. But like, don't talk to me, right? Like I just want to have that sort of like more freeing experience to look at like the clothes I want to look at in a mall, and just sort of look around without being judged, right? So if you're going like a women's clothing store as a man, it's like, why are you here? Do you need something for somebody else? No, I'm looking for me, but we can't be saying that. You can say it. I just wouldn't say it. I remember this because we still had to wear masks in public, and masks were very, very advantageous for people cross-dressing, because I would have facial hair, and it helps to feminize your face. Like you don't need to like do the whole beat. You don't have to do all the makeup. So I went out to the mall. All done. I did makeup on my eyes, and I wore, I think some sort of sweater dress. I think just sort of breast forms in a bra. I think no breastplate, no padding, of course. I didn't take many pictures. I put one of them up. Not a lot of pictures. Not many good ones. November of 2022 as well is when was another like turning point, sort of realism for me. I had gotten Roanier's regular C-cup breastplate at some point. And if you know those breastplates, it's sort of like not more like standard breastplate, but they would like, the nipples would sort of just be straight on and like sort of like headlighty and like not very natural looking, and I didn't love it. And then I saw that they had, I think that's when they had released the East-West breastplate. And the East-West breastplate looked so much more realistic to me. I thought that those were next level. No one made breastplates like that, and no one still makes breastplates like that. Like, they are still great, I think. If I were not using what I'm using now, which we'll get into, I would still be using an East-West breastplate. They are great. Now we're back. We're back to January 2023. We're back to MagFest. This is the first time I did like a cosplay. My wife had bought me for my birthday a cosplay of Evelyn from League of Legends, one of the KDA ones. I was very grateful. Still am very grateful. It was bad. Specifically, me wearing it was bad. It was not good. Again, we looked at the letter P. It was not a good time. It was like an Evelyn KDA from but a bunny suit, because it was like a bunny theme for MagFest. The first day, because I did one day and then the next day I dressed up again. The first day that the cosplay was bad. You might get a picture, you might not. I'm not, depending on how embarrassed I am. Didn't work out very well. Personally, when I look back at the pictures, but like at the time I was like, I'm doing my best. This is the best I can do. And it was the first time like one of my friends had seen me dressed up and didn't know it was me, so introduced himself to me again. And that was really funny to me. He was like, "Oh, hi, what's your name?" Like, blah, blah, blah. He thought I was one of his girlfriend's friends. And I was like, "Hey, it's me." And he was like, oh, word? And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And the next day, on the Saturday of MagFest, I just went in just a cute little mesh dress with padding. First time in forever with padding. And we go in padding, we go breastplate, and I do the whole thing, and we still have to use masks. And the masks really helped. And I had like cute little small heels on. I think just like thigh high like boots or knee high. I'll have a picture. And it was really, really like the first time I was like felt beautiful, and I was interacting with people, and I was walking alone at the convention without anybody else. And it was really nice. I had even met a YouTuber that I like, Heavenly Father, at that convention. It was awesome. He didn't bat an eye, still having a very masculine voice, presenting very feminine, and he took the picture with me. It's great. It was beautiful. So now, after that year, we're now like May 2023, and we are back into padding full time, and I'm padding because I just saw the difference in the way my body looked, and it just looked right. Like, it looked like more convincing, more feminine. That illusion was greater. Yeah, so we're using Rainier's East-West plate. I think it was still the C cup by now, but we do transition to an E cup later in the year. And I was using Rainier's large silicone hip pads, in which, in order to use those, you need to use a lot of tights and a lot of short, like sometimes you use like shorts to keep them up, and it was a lot of work. It was a lot of layering and layering and layering just to like smooth out the surface and keep everything sort of together. So I was using those, and I would realize that they would keep slipping down. They kept slipping down when I was using them because I would start sweating, and then it would be wet, and we would start sliding down. And I really wanted to like find more options for padding and like what else I can do for it, and like what other people are using. Like, start looking into that more. And then like maybe like June 2023, that's when I started actually like, we are wearing clothes specifically to highlight curves. We're not using like, the flowy mini skirts anymore. We can use mini dresses, but we have to use like stockings and stuff. It was like very much focused on highlighting curves because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to like show that body. Now in July of 2023, I got a Roanier hip pant. My issue with the hip pants is, I can put a picture up here. They sort of make you this like weird shape of like, we're here, boom, just around your butt, and then back down is like straight. So it doesn't really add a lot of dimension. It just sort of adds shape. It doesn't look very realistic, at least to me. Maybe if you get like a BBL, but I don't want that shape, that kind of shape. And I realized that like the thighs and the legs are really, really important to creating shape. all these like foam paddings are like very much around only the hips and the butt, as opposed to like the thighs. Makes me really think about like, how do we create this shape? So then in September of 2023, I go to an E cup, an east-west breastplate. And the reason for that is that you can use a sticky bra. Take the sticky bra and put it on one side over here and one side over here and pull them together to create more cleavage. So it can act similarly to the regular plate, but it doesn't sort of move the silicone in here very much. So you get this very natural looking cleavage. I'll put a picture up here for you. And then I also got the super strong row on your hip pants. And they did not fit at all. They probably left, like, if my leg is this big, it was like this big at the bottom of it. And it was just like not fitting, and it, like, you had to use so many pairs of tights to squish it down, and it really just was bothering me. Fill it with foam and do all this, and like, it just wasn't worth the purchase to me. The only thing I did like that about it was the exaggerated proportions. It was much bigger than how I am now, like how I pad today. I can show a couple of pictures. They are kind of crazy looking to look at now, but they are very drag. Let's say that. So in October 2023, I tried making my own hip pads out of foam. I would go on YouTube, look up a drag queen doing it, and see how they do it, and then you like carve it out of like, sort of couch foam, and so it did not come out very well, and cutting it was so difficult, even though they made it look so easy. I got like a box cutter, tried to do it like that. It took me 8 billion years, couldn't do it. Then I got like a turkey carver, like electric turkey carver. Still didn't work very well. So like I sort of tried that and sort of gave up on that pretty quickly, which I might go back to. I'm not sure. Might revisit it. But this is sort of when I was like very, if you don't know, Crimson Borgia, don't know how to say her name, the queen and the sort of ideal of padding and shapewear. I'll put up her here. She showed me that you should be like padding your thighs and padding your legs, and she sort of started showing like how she would pad, and that really sort of changed how I thought about it and looked at it. November 2023 is when I realized, man, I should probably start padding my butt, because I am sort of like this hourglass shape from the front, but from the side it's sort of still just like whoop, whoop, whoop. It's sort of very flat still. And I realized, like, if you have that much hip, generally you're going to have a butt too. So I should probably think about that as well. But I still preferred like a lightweight, like I had foam butt pads that I would use, that they were not terribly thick, but they weren't terribly thin. I would use those. I think I might have a picture of specifically those. So we're still using like a combination of foam hips and butt and then breastplate. And we're still creating like a pretty decent silhouette. January 2024. All right. I have many, many notes for this. I have a very, very rare picture of me in all the padding without anything on, without any like a dress or anything. And you can see I had just the cheap foam stuff, and it was pretty good. In that time, in early January, I had received in the mail, because I bought it, the Planet Pepper hip pads. And the Planet Pepper hip pads, I had been rewatching RuPaul's Drag Race, and I saw them as a sponsor for one of the like mini challenges or something like that. Like the queens were allowed to use them. So I went on the Planet Pepper website and I saw them, and I was like, oh, these look great. So they came with like, you can buy specifically pants that go with it. So you can just wear the pants and you put the hip pads into the pants, and that should like keep everything nice. So I think I can show the difference between, I might have like a side by side of like both of them, the old padding and the new pad. I was obsessed with the shape. The shape was so good. My only issue with that was that the zipper for the pants would stab into your side of your leg, and that was like the only issue I had with it. That was it. And then later on in the month, we go to MagFest, and everyone, I got the most amount of compliments I'd ever gotten at MagFest because of that padding. That padding was, I had like someone who was born female asking me where I got the padding. So she wanted to use the padding because she was trying to do like Miss Bellum from Powerpuff Girls, and I thought that was really cool. So I told her all about it. And it was the first time that I was like asked my like about my sort of setup, sort of like all my padding, and it sort of felt like this moment where, oh, I can talk to people about this, which doesn't happen often, about like just talking to somebody about dressing. And this is sort of the first time I was like, oh my God, the amount of looks I got from specifically men was like astronomically higher than every other year. Obviously, I'll show you pictures of what we wore and everything. It was kind of crazy. However, I can't blame them. I would have my friends, like face my friends like this, and they would look behind me and just started counting people that were coming out of the concert venue. And that was really, really funny to me. I think they counted like 15 in 10 seconds or something like that. It was wild. It was the most like I had been validated my padding and sort of like validated my dressing to a point where I'm like, oh, ooh, this is crazy. I'm sort of getting this like acknowledgement that I've never received before ever in my life. And it was like, on one hand, made me a little nervous, but at the same time, I was like very proud of myself that I was able to do that. This setup really took a toll on my physical body because I had to wear, let's read it out. We had 2 pairs of tights, the Planet Pepper pants, and the bodysuit I was wearing. So that's about 5 layers just to keep everything from being lumpy and looking good. And my feet were being like crushed by like 3 pairs of tights, 2 pairs of tights. It was really not fun. Plus some socks. So my feet hurt like crazy. It was like I was wearing a shoe that wasn't supposed to hurt me that much. And if I wore the shoe just like socks, it would have been fine. But because the tights were like squeezing so tightly, it just hurt so much. So I realized I don't want to continue this path of padding anymore, just so I don't hurt my feet, or like I need to modify it so it doesn't. And I also realized that needing to pee while dressed was also becoming a really big pain in the butt. It was not easy or fun because everything had to come off and then go back on, and it was this whole ordeal. So I had to figure that out too. There's a bunch of like troubleshooting, problem solving, and trial and error that I had to come up with in order to remedy that problem. That problem was probably my number one issue right after the feet, because that was like the most like, man, peeing takes forever. It's a pain. I'm sweating trying to get everything on and off. It wasn't worth it. Honestly, 2024 was a good year because I got to dress pretty often. I just sort of like experimented with a lot of things and sort of did my thing and was able to explore the hobby more. The most I ever had in a year, which was very interesting, very enlightening, and very like I learned a lot. So in April 2024, I finally got what I use today. And what I use today is from the Breastform store. The Breastform store has honestly the best feeling silicone out of anything I've felt. It is not oily at all whatsoever. It is very, very smooth. I wouldn't say it feels exactly like skin, but it is super smooth. And if you put like some baby powder or like setting powder on it, it'll feel really nice. And I got the Jolie and the Nikki from the Breastform store. The Breastform store's hip and butt pads. I got the largest size of both, I believe, both in the 3, because I really wanted to create that shape. I think I have side by side of it, of both of the hip pads right here. It was not as big as the Planet Pepper padding, which is fine. The trade-off was worth it to me because I could then wear just the shapewear shorts plus the padding. The only issue now was to pee out, I had to take the shapewear shorts off. And the issue with that is all the padding would fall off. Because yes, it's sticky. Yes, it is like the sticky backside, which does help keep everything up so it doesn't slide when you're wearing it. But if you take the padding off, like if you wear it for enough time, you'll sweat because padding. So I would sweat and it would start to slide and then try to pee and then everything was off and it's a whole mess. So I need to find this sort of like next level of how to keep everything together while being able to pee. And I hadn't found anything that was like good enough. Yeah, there's like crotchless like underwear and crotchless this and that, but like nothing was sticking out to me. Like nothing, it would be like shapewear to keep everything sucked in, not to emphasize what we have or what we're using. So I was like thinking about that for the rest of the year. I'll put more pictures up, just like me just dressing. Like I strangely just got into jumpsuits for whatever reason. I think because of the new padding, I was so like, oh, now we don't have to wear this, now we wear that. We like make summery looks. Like we'll try jumpsuits, and I thought it was very cute. Also, in that year, it was actually pretty, not pretty, but it was like the first time I had a space not dedicated to dressing, but like half of it was dedicated to dressing, which was nice. So I had a closet. I had this right here. We had like a little dresser and a closet. This is not the same room, where I had space to put my stuff that wasn't crammed in a box or mixed with my boy clothes. So it was sort of its own space, and it was very nice. Like I have my computer right there, and my wife's computer's here, and it's sort of the same setup as it was in the previous place. And this sort of let me like explore that side of me way, way more, and it was very, very awesome. It's sort of like the first time ever I was able to spread out a little bit, you know, like relax. So in August of 2024, my friends wanted to do a group costume. specifically of One Piece. I love One Piece. I currently, as of right this very second, I'm maybe like 20 episodes behind, but like I've got time to like catch up before, we start back up again. And I chose Zoro as the character I wanted to do. Not that Zoro's my favorite character or my first choice, but like I really like Zoro. Zoro's probably top 5 character for me. So I chose Zoro, and I was gonna do gender bent Zoro. Cross-dressing as a female version of Zoro is very, layers to it. And I got the costume off of a website because I can't sew. I can't make things. Now it was an okay costume. And I also was at the same time was trying to fix this peeing issue I've been having. This going to the bathroom issue of, man, I really want to be able to just pee like a person, not pee like a crossdresser. I want to just pull underwear down and pee in peace, easily. So I had found, I think is my favorite product that I've had ever, which I'm using currently, is the Shape and Go. By Skinister, the Shape and Go is shapewear, goes from mid-thigh to about your waist to like, suck the stomach in, but also like it makes sure that your pads stay up in the right place. So your whole entire pad is covered on the sides, and it has butt ruching in the back to, emphasize the booty more. And so the butt padding in the back is also good. The key part of this shapewear is that it's crotchless. And the fact that it has that's what I was looking for like a year probably, is shapewear that goes up, is crotchless, and has like a butt emphasis to like show off everything. When I tell you, this was like the holy grail of me finding this. It was amazing. It fixed like all of my issues all at once. Yeah, really, I didn't have to wear a bunch of pairs of tights, and I didn't have to take everything off in order to pee. So now we can then put on the shapewear over the padding and then put underwear on. So then we can just take them off, pee, and put it back on. And it was revolutionary. At the same time, I found skin-colored fleece leggings because I was living in a colder state. I was so proud of myself. It was crazy. I had double crotchless. I was warm from the leggings, plus I could pee. I felt like a genius. I like was telling all the girls that I knew, like, I found the thing. And like, it's obviously not a big deal for them, right? Like the crotchless, but like for me, big deal, because it's not that easy to like tear everything on and off. And now we're in to October of 2024. I have my Zoro costume. This is like a part where like I felt like a genius. I had the dress. I still have the dress in a cosplay box. Here's the dress. It was good. It was great. It was adorable. I replaced it was a pad. It's like the top was padded, but I didn't like the padding. The padding was terrible. So I cut the padding out and put padding from something else in that was much better quality. It felt so much better, looked so much better, and looked way more expensive than it was. And then I also like replaced the whatever they use for the waist. I used a waspy, like a green waist cincher too, plus the other Zoro accents. I also had, for the first time forever, worn a wig. It was a lace front wig. It was green. It was beautiful. Still is beautiful. And I had a waist front wig, and since Zoro wears that bandana, I put the bandana over the lace so I didn't have to glue it. Little bit of a cop out. My makeup didn't look great. I remember that, but I was proud of the outfit. That was one I'm most proud of. Still really like the boots I have, and I use for it. I'll probably use that for something else too. And this is the point where I was sort of realizing that I didn't like that style of breastplate that came up to here. It sort of started feeling like more restrictive. I liked the shape down here, but I didn't want to cut the neck because I feel like if I do, then there's more of a chance to sort of ruin it, sort of like ruin the breastplate and like have it tear more. So I was kind of nervous about that, and I was looking around at this point, like trying to look for a solution for this, which I would eventually find here. Also in October, I was thinking ahead to MagFest. I wanted to do Rengiku from Bleach because I was watching Bleach at the time, and I thought and still think she's the most attractive character in the show. It's the first and only time currently that I commissioned a costume from somebody to be made. So I commissioned a costume with measurements to be made for me, and it looked great. Still looked great. I just didn't do it justice, personally. And then in December of 2024, I finally got this breastplate right here. This is the Breastform Store's Athena. Again, the Breastform Store, phenomenal products, amazing products, love them. I would always sweat in my back. My back's the first thing to sweat. My neck was always like getting crunched up, and it was all too much. So now we've made our way to this breastplate, which there's no neck here. The line's right here. It's usually pretty faint. If you see it from far away, you can't tell normally. So I usually use a necklace to like sort of cover and hide things. And it's easier to cover up because like this is just fully covered here plus hair. So you can just pretty easily cover our seams here. It's much easier than a traditional style breastplate. The only issue with that at that point was I had MagFest next month in January 2025. This breastplate didn't feel like it worked for Rangiku. Rangiku's breasts are big. They're big and they're pushed together and they look great. I don't have a breastplate that big. I would never use a breastplate that big. If I wanted to get one, I could go out and get myself one. Shangela. So I went back to the Roanier E-Cup. And you see, here's our pictures. They're beautiful. They look good. They look good. I look good. I was just sweating too much with everything. So eventually, at that MagFest, I would go back and use and just dress sort of normally. I like that outfit. It was a cute outfit. I love that color. That's when I started getting obsessed with like that sort of like purpley, like light purple, lavender, lilac color. Love that color. I'd actually been recognized as Rangiku in an elevator while I was in the cosplay, and I was like worried and nervous because like you don't really ever know who's who and like who's accepting in all this usually. Plus I didn't have any friends around, so I was a little nervous. Which I don't think I would be as nervous today. I think I'm pretty okay. And then the other day I wore a really cute pink dress and wore my natural hair, working a little backwards. On the Friday I wore a pink dress that was really cute with a little heart design with this Athena breastplate and my natural hair, which was much shorter then, plus a clip-on bang like I usually do now. And that was sort of the first time I was in everything like this, like sort of like the current state, which I've sort of finalized, I guess, after 10 years, By March 2025, I was starting to get into like wider skirts, sort of like more skirts with more structure, like the bubble skirts and bubble dresses, sort of like not need to use padding if I wanted to. I do enjoy the not padding. I did it the other day. I'll probably put a picture here. It makes things easy. It makes it less sweaty, but I think I still do prefer the full shape and a bodycon dress as opposed to a bubble skirt plus top. That's me. And as of May 2025, I got married to my now wife. Beautiful, love her. At that point, right before we got married, we decided that we wanted to move out of the state we were in. We wanted to go, she wanted to go to school and do something else with her life. It's a perfect time to like go and start anew. Like you're newly married and you have a, this sort of safety blanket below you to start a new chapter. And so that's what we did. June 2025, we moved all the way across the United States, like most of the way across the United States, from north part of East Coast to all the way down to Florida. I had to get rid of a lot of like my stuff, like some older hip pads and older breastplates and stuff I didn't use and shoes I didn't like or use anymore or uncomfortable. And this is like, we had to downsize a lot of it, which is fine. And it's all currently here and here. I didn't get to dress until July of 2025 because the clothes and stuff were in a moving container. And then October 2025, we were still here in Florida. This was the first time I had gone out dressed since January. Since it's a new city, I don't really mind, but it is a different state. And the state we were in before was much more liberal. And Florida, as we know, is not the most accepting and kind state towards people who are on the LGBTQ spectrum. So I was always worried to go out dressed up, at least by myself. I didn't really bother my wife too much with it, like, let's do it all these days. So in October 2025, I went with my now sister-in-law. She came down here and we went out to, very specifically, an LGBTQ owned restaurant, which is phenomenal. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite places to go here. We've been a bunch of times now. It was the first time I went and it was amazing. I felt great. I put a picture here. And then afterward, we went to the Orlando Science Center, which, for a little fun night, for like essentially a Halloween themed like night at like the Orlando Science Center for adults. It was really cool. It was really fun, and started to loosened me up more to like going out dressed down here, because at first it was very scary, but now it's not scary to me as much. I got to be very conscious of what I'm doing though. And that was sort of the last time I dressed. And now, currently, it's January 2026. In December, I had played with the idea of going to a convention in a cosplay all dressed up, but I didn't, sort of last minute, I didn't want to. And then New Year's, I thought about doing it, but we were just going over to a neighbor's house, and it was only like a couple of us, so it wasn't worth it. So like I didn't do it. And now, since we're in January 2025, I, specifically in this month, have gone out multiple times dressed up. So now, January 2026, it's been my resolution to go out dressed more. I sort of owe it to myself to sort of like participate in my own hobby, and without like, as much fear, without as much worry, because like it's part of me. And I know that it is, and I want to do more, and it is fun. It is fun to be dressed and be beautiful and feel good about yourself. Do me more, and also spread my knowledge to more people, because I've been doing it for a while and I see a lot of questions here and there, and I'm like, well, I have the answer to that. I want to know. I want to teach the person this. That's sort of what my resolution is for the whole year, which I decided earlier. Like, you know, first like week of the year, I was like, I need to dress more. I need to go out more. I need to express myself more. I need to do something with my hobby more. You know, I got started right away on that. What was it? A couple weeks ago, as of recording, I went out to the mall alone. Wahoo! Dressed, and you can shoot pictures, and they're all very cute. And I did what I wanted to do for a long time. We did dressing rooms. We tried stuff on, what fit and what didn't fit, and I was there for like 6 hours. It was awesome. It was a very like validating moment in my journey, in which I think some of the cashiers could tell, but I don't think that they cared. I don't think anyone really cared. Had no issues, no trouble. It was amazing. And then this past weekend, I went out dressed to a drag race watch party for season 18. And again, had a great time. I even won like a little fantasy prediction thing, which here's what I got. It was a Bratz doll. It was a bunch of lookbooks and a Labubu outfit, which I gave the Labubu outfit to my wife, and she was very happy about that. And I'm happy about the Bratz doll, which I may or may not do the look for. It would be very fun, interesting. My sister-in-law gave me that idea, but I'm gonna think about it. So yeah, now we're caught up. January 2026. I plan to go out dressed more and sort of make videos like this, sort of helping people with their journey and explaining things. I think the next one I want to do is either what's in my closet and like my favorite pieces, or my favorite products, this, you know, Shape and Go, and hip pads and shoes, and my favorite like pieces overall, or the different kinds of padding that I've used and how I would rate them. We'll either rate them or tier list them. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about it. Anyway, I'm Lulu. That's my story. It's a long one. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to like anything. It's nothing. It's all up to you. I'm going to have more videos come out. So if you want to subscribe and learn that information that I have in my little brain, my little pea brain, it should be coming at some point. I'm going to try to do stuff sort of every weekend, every 2 weekends, something like that, whenever I have the time usually. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me yap for too long. And I appreciate it. And if you check this video out, thank you. Bye.